Hi. Can you hear
Hey.
me okay?
Yeah, you sound
All right,
good.
cool. I just realized that I do like the old man thing every time I start a Zoom. The whole, can you hear me okay? It's like every single time. That's what I do. So sorry, I am an old man. So that's how it goes, I guess. So,
That's okay.
all right. Well, so you are Karen Heeter. We've already established that just a second ago. And I just feel like there's so much to chat about. Uh, so if we can get straight to it, is that okay? And I'm going to give
Sure.
my bio of you. Is
Sure,
that all right?
sounds good.
Okay. All right, cool. So Karen Heeter
Sure.
is a dendrochronologist, a botanist, and PhD candidate at the University of Idaho, where she studies tree rings, fire, and more. If you can't find Karen in the lab, you might find her drinking tea or coffee, creating some of the most beautiful botanic illustrations on Earth. Or you may find her hiking on a rugged trail. If Karen is nowhere to be found, however, she is most likely wielding a massive steel chainsaw along the tree line of a snow-covered mountain, yelling at Mother Nature, "Is this all you got?" Without further ado, welcome, Karen. It's so good to chat with you. That was horrible.
Hey,
I
how's
know.
it
I'm
going?
sorry.
That
That's the epic
was an
tales that
epic
I've heard.
introduction.
Oh well, it's based off what I've heard from the tree lab in Idaho. So, yeah, is it accurate? I mean, is that pretty much how it is?
It's yeah, I mean, yeah, that wasn't too far off.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay then. Um, okay, so if we can just kind of start with who you are, what you do, and kind of how you got there. No big deal, just kind of the story of your whole life.
Sounds good. So I guess where do we start? I guess my love of botany and all things trees and nature and science and art, right? They're all related. I grew up in Western Maryland, and I've always just kind of have a love for hiking and mountain biking. And um, I know one of the beautiful things about plant communities is when you are like running up a trail and are dying to catch your breath, or you've fallen off a bike, what is around you? This beautiful nature, these rhododendron and out of the trees around you. It makes this seemingly terse situation seem a little bit brighter, right? So I think that's where it all started for me is just a love of nature and being outdoors. So I got my bachelor's in ethnobotany with a minor in forestry from Frostburg State University in Western Maryland. And I stayed on for an extra 2 years to get my master's in forest ecology and conservation biology, where I did some old growth studies for the state of Maryland, looking at old growth oak and Table Mountain pine, which is a fire adapted community. So enter, I guess, my love of wildland fire. While I was working on my master's, I got involved with Maryland's interagency fire crew. So did some fire stuff and then ended up kind of more gearing myself towards the world of prescribed fire as an ecological management tool. So kind of all these like I guess different things that have kind of like converged in on each other in this whole time, understanding that, okay, what is the synergy between fire, ecological management, botany? What can I do, or how can I propel my career in a way that I can do all these like loves of mine in one way? And so dendrochronology was kind of the avenue that I found that, from which I found that, right? So I was at NADEF, which is the North American Dendro Ecological Field Week 2017, where I met Grant Harley. He's kind of a kindred spirit in terms of liking to drink drink tequila around a fire. So we had some really good talks, and he was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a PhD student. How would you feel about going to Idaho to study tree ring? And it's like, sure, why not? So I applied, and here I am now 3 years later, where today we are currently more focused on dendroclimate, kind of the paleoclimate aspect of tree rings. But again, right, you think of how biomes are where they are, it's because of climate. So this whole plant communities, fire, tree rings, climate, it's all stuff we do at the lab here. So it's really been a great setting for me to explore all my loves and all my scientific interests. So here I am.
Yeah, cool. No, that's awesome. So, I mean, I honestly have like 1,000 questions for you because I mean, like, this is what I love as well. So it's really cool. So where to start? So I just had, like, as we sat here, I just had like 3 more or 4 more questions come into my mind. But what is your, like, well, let's just start with, what are you currently working on? Like,
so
specifically?
Okay, yeah. So I am working with Blue Intensity on tree rings to reconstruct past temperature variability. So rings have long been used, right, to reconstruct like stream flow and, drought, things like that. We haven't had as much, I guess, comparatively speaking, work with past temperature. So blue intensity is kind of a relatively new technique within the last 20 years or so. It's really started to flourish within the dendro community for providing these more robust estimates of past temperature. So my dissertation is basically looking at blue intensity from a whole bunch of different conifer species across the Western US. And there's lots of goodies hopefully coming soon about.
That's awesome, man.
So I can
that's
share
really
more.
Cool.
So
yeah, that's exciting. Okay, so can you walk us back just a step? So tell me, like, how the blue light works. I mean, what all goes to that?
Right. So essentially what it's doing is providing us with a surrogate parameter for a density, a maximum density measurement.
Okay.
So in contrast to maximum latewood density, actually like running it through the process of getting those density measurements, it uses blue light within it's the blue wavelet spectrum of the visible spectrum that you shoot at a core, like a scanned image of a core, and it basically is measuring the amount of reflected light, reflected blue light. And so then those values you can manipulate in a way. So for example, like specifically, I use the latewood blue intensity values. So we invert them. And then it allows for detrending, kind of similar to like the maximum latewood density measurement. And so far, they've really been shown to provide really pretty strong estimates of temperature. They're highly correlative to regional and local temperature.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's like, I don't know, it's like the same process of how you would look at like a tree ring width series, climate or like climate data, but it's just a little bit different. So.
But it tells you something different. Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we're thinking of, I have I'm sure you have, looks like you're in your lab or lab office.
Yeah, I'm in my office.
Yeah, so I went to the mountains. I got away last week, and so this is Douglas fir, and so this is just kind of, I'm talking with a dendrochronologist, so I figured I better have some tree ring, some cookie on hand. But let me see. Yeah, so usually, like, when we're talking about we're talking about widths, right? And that's like a good estimate for like if there was a drought or just a really nice, resource rich year or something like that. But so you're talking about going beyond drought and actually finding temperatures, correlating to temperatures.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So specifically, since I primarily work with the latewood blue intensity. It's got a really strong summer temperature signal.
Okay.
But recently I've been up in the Cascades collecting data from mountain hemlock, and we've that in some cases, like for example with these hemlock, we're able to capture a broader range, so it's closer to full growing season. Um, so that's pretty exciting, and there's so much you could do as well. And there's a lot more to explore with early wood and Delta Blue, and there's a lot of good stuff coming out of Europe right now, and kind of there's this push to just like I guess develop it further and refine the methods. So it's really exciting for me for my dissertation stuff to kind of be on the front edge of trying to like define these metrics more. So
Yeah, no, that's super exciting. I mean, that's like we I think of well, I maybe this isn't like going like to this extreme, but we think of like kind of the founders of Dendro and like A. Douglas and stuff like that. But I mean, like it really is like everybody's going to be citing these papers that come out of with blue light, because it's new, and especially the work that it sounds like you all are doing there. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's been incredibly humbling for me, the amount of just support and I guess networking that this Blue Intensity project has allowed me to do, right? So it's definitely, I echo that. It's standing on the shoulders of giants, right? And when someone reaches out, like Rob Wilson, he reached out to me, and he's actually a collaborator on a project I'm working on now. But I'm just like, oh my gosh, I've read all your papers.
That's so cool.
Like,
yeah,
it gets a little bit, I don't know, it makes you feel like just really grateful to be part of such a supportive community.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, it really doesn't get much better, in the world of Dendro to be able to do that. That's really cool. Or any science, I guess, for that matter. To find some of these big collaborators, and like they're your collaborators now. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So do you have any proudest achievements in so far what you've done?
Let's see. I guess
aside from finding awesome collaborators.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like the first time we all have that memory of, or maybe to some extent have this, but I remember it was about 2.5 years ago. So I had just started my program, and Grant was like, hey, here's this Blue Intensity stuff. Throw balls at the wall and see what sticks, essentially. Something like that. And gosh, how scary was that? I'm a brand new PhD student, and he's like, well, figure it out, basically. And, which was honestly great that he did that. And the feeling when you're like, by God, it worked.
Yeah. Eureka.
Yeah. When it was, we were working with red spruce in North Carolina. It was a collection that Saskia Van de Gavel had given us. And we were trying Delta Blue Intensity for the first time. And we're like, oh, it's probably not going to work. But by God, it worked. And
yeah, wow.
I still remember that feeling of like the wheels started turning. And, at that point, I hadn't really decided what route I wanted to do with my dissertation, or much less my career in Dendro, right?
Yeah.
Still pretty new to the game. But then it's like, oh, wow, the possibilities. So yeah, I know it's kind of like, it's early on in my career, but I still like to this day, just remember that feeling of like the wonder and the joy. And that's why we do science, right? So those moments, I'm like, oh, I love that.
Yeah, no, and it really speaks to like you were talking about, like, I don't know if you're talking about childhood necessarily, but you're talking about adolescence, running, being out in nature.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's the same thing. I mean, like when and there are people that like, they love the math of it. They love, kind of the intricacies behind, what you see in the macro. But I mean, like, you're speaking of something that it's so tangible, like I was talking to one of my friends about this, and it's just like, just the other day, it's so weird. I feel like we get jaded as Dendro people, because like one day I was pushing this cart, so I had like did a lot of my field work, loaded the cart after I'd sanded all the cookies, got all these cross sections. My trees weren't old, considering like how old trees can get, but I've got trees that go up to 1700s. That's like really cool.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I'm pushing this cart and I'm kind of thinking like, man, like I wish I could have gotten to like 1600s. I want some old trees. And it's like, that's such a bad perspective, really, because you tell somebody else like, oh, hey, this tree on your property is 200 years old. They're like, oh my god, 200 years, that's so old. And we kind of like, it's easy sometimes to, in that hunt or the pursuit of whatever you're doing, to kind of like lose sight of how amazing it really is to be working with these charismatic megaflora that are just so ancient. And and it really taps back into, to me, that childhood experience of wonder in the trees and the forests. And I mean, god, I just can gush over trees. Anyways, yeah. I'm done. Like I get like nostalgic, I'm 35 and I can be like nostalgic over trees, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, totally.
Whatever.
Yeah, no,
that's awesome.
It's definitely like moments like those. It's we do take them for granted, and I think as long as I can, I don't know, equate these little joys to my great joys and kind of keep them on the same field, right? Then okay.
No, that's good. You sound very grounded. That's awesome. Okay, so that's cool. I was going to ask you kind of what drives you, but I mean, I suspect it's kind of that wonder, like that's what we're talking about, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I have so many questions, but I'm not going to be able to get to them. So if we can move to kind of some of the questions that I sent you before. So, I try not to trick people very much. So what is your favorite tree?
Okay, so since I'm from Maryland, I have an eastern tree. This is like a loaded question.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I love eastern hemlock, let me tell you, as well as eastern larch.
Okay, yeah.
When I moved to Idaho and realized that there's western larch and mountain hemlock, those like, that comfort and that I don't know, those trees were kind of here in a different form. So that was cool. So cool. To be honest, I'll tell you my newest favorite tree. Okay. I really enjoyed seeing California red fir for the first time.
Oh, that's cool.
We saw it at the northern extent of its range in the Cascades this past summer. Wow. And they're just like dinosaur trees. Like the bark was like scaly. Seriously, in the way that the needles kind of, it's a fir, right? So they're like kind of softer and a little bit, and then they just like, I don't know, the way they curve on the branch is just such like dinosaurs.
Oh, that's so cool, man. So, the dinosaurs of the forest, huh?
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I love firs are so cool, and like for people who aren't acquainted with firs, they call them friendly because they're like, their needles aren't pointy or sharp, like you might get with spruce or pines, right? So that's cool. I like that picture you painted. Like, you could definitely see like, these old dinosaur trees. That's really cool. I have not been, the only time I've been to California is on a plane, like in the airport. And so like I'm missing out on so much of, that north to south, range on the West Coast. Like I've got to go. That's so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 2 guests ago was Rebecca Franklin, and she's out of Central Oregon or Bend. And so like I'm getting all these West Coasties, or at least, species that we're talking about. And it's like making me like salivate over taking a trip. Oh,
yeah,
gotta get out west. Yeah. So you were talking about like the northern range. I that's so cool. I love, so where I'm at in Oklahoma is like central Oklahoma, and we have this east to west gradient, or that's so basically like as a biologist, so sometimes Oklahoma can get a bad rap, because it's like, it's Oklahoma in the kind of like that pop culture way, right? That people think of it. But like as a biologist, Oklahoma is really cool, especially like right in the central region. For one, we have throughout the state, we have like a ton of different ecoregions to study. So that's cool. But so we're kind of at this place, and like right where I'm sitting actually. So you've got like, there's trees all around me, right? But if you go west just a little bit of like Oklahoma City, it starts like the trees are sparse. It's kind of that, it turns to prairie basically, and it's like trees are just found in riparian areas, or they're kind of shrubby trees. But if you go east of me, which is like, this is I-35 going north and south. If you go east of I-35, you start to get more like, you start to work on that gradient of getting towards the eastern deciduous forest, right? So like the far eastern Oklahoma is like green country is what we call it. And so yeah, I love like these ecotones and like finding the easternmost or northernmost or whatever, distribution for that species. That's really cool. I was at the southern end of the Rockies in New Mexico, in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. And it's so cool. Like, there's so much like difference in those species that are at the edge,
For sure. Yeah,
I just talked a whole lot. I'm sorry. Like, no, this stuff's really exciting.
Yeah, no, I agree. The Sangres, we've done a lot of work actually for this stuff down there with. We've got the southernmost documented population of Engelmann spruce down there.
Oh, that's cool.
Believe it or not, yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw Engelmann spruce, but I had no idea. Like, I didn't even look at a distribution map. I just knew they were there.
They're like these little disjunct island kind of populations. But we were down by Ruidoso.
Okay.
And it was like we hiked up. Oh gosh, know how high? It was. I think it was near the Apache ski resort.
Okay, I'm not real familiar with that. Yeah, it was just
this like little tiny population of Engelmann spruce.
Wow. But that's so cool.
Yeah.
It is exciting, isn't it? Like, yeah, I can see your enthusiasm. Like, it's not just me. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, that's cool. So we're like running long because I'm talking way too much about.
I talk a lot too.
Distribution. Yeah. Okay. Biogeography is cool though. That's such a cool subject.
It is.
Okay. No matter what field you're in, I think everybody kind of likes that as biologists. Okay. So we got one of your favorite trees. That's cool. What is your favorite chainsaw to cut? Usually remnant trees, right? Remnant wood, right? I'm assuming that's what you mostly work with.
What was it? I think, so we had a 440 Magnum. Yeah. I don't think they make it anymore, but I love that saw.
Okay, cool.
Because it's like big enough to be like, I'm the boss.
A pro saw.
But also,
right.
Just kidding. But it's not too big, like, you're just showing off.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, I have to admit, like, I like using the small saws. Like, I think it's just kind of like handy and it's nice. But there is something really, and the trees that I work with, that's usually not a big deal. But like seeing the photos of your lab and like you like all those trees, like it's so cool. I just love it. Yeah,
I think it's kind of, so for Wild and Fire, I did a lot of like, I was the sawyer for Wild and Fire, and
okay,
like, I don't know, I'm also like 5'1", and
okay, yeah,
sometimes it's a little bit like, you need me to carry that, and I'm like, I'm okay.
That's awesome. No, so I would definitely need you to carry stuff for me, so that's for sure. I was really feeling it whenever I was in the mountains. Yeah, I'm not acclimated, to any of that. So, okay, moving on. I don't want to talk about how weak I am anymore. So what is your favorite Fireside food and beverage?
Beverage, I love tequila.
Okay.
My favorite. Let's see.
Like straight tequila.
Yeah,
Okay.
with like, a little lime and little cayenne's good. So,
You are way tougher than me in like every aspect.
oh my
This
gosh,
is
so.
I'm so weak. Okay.
Um, food, I love all foods. So that's really hard. Nothing sweet. I don't really like sweets that much.
Okay. More savory.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, tequila and some savory
probably
stuff.
something salty. Yeah, I usually am
Oh
like
yeah.
craving. Oh, I really like those Gardetto chips that are just the rye chips?
I don't guess I do.
It's like the Chex Mix that has the rye chips in it.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the rye chips.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Those are the
Very
best.
particular about your. Yeah. Okay. You just get those? I'm so ignorant.
I will send you the link. I will
Okay,
send,
cool.
yes.
All right.
Go out
All
and
right.
buy them. They're so
Yeah,
good.
I'm gonna drink some tequila and rye chips in your honor around the fire sometime. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Let's see. We've covered like most of this already. Okay, if you could go back in time and tell yourself some advice that you've learned along the way, what do you think you would do? What do you think you would say? Sorry.
Well, I don't know. Probably I'd start with you are enough.
Mm, yeah.
And I think the rest will fall in place.
Yeah.
That's been a long time coming for me. I think a lot of us in this position were a little bit addicted to work, and we're always feeling this pressure that it's just like, under the iron, I guess, and go, 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 and do all this and do all that. And we feel inadequate a lot of the times, but we don't have to. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good. I'm glad you said that. That's true. I hear that a lot from people in this field, for one, but just people in general. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes hand in
enough.
hand with the work smarter, not harder as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, trying to have those boundaries, maintain your boundaries, self-love, self-respect, all of that stuff, and
Absolutely.
the rest does fall in place. I like that. That's good. Yeah, I'm honestly like we won't make this like a whole mental health like episode or anything, but yeah, like this, I've been going to therapy for like less than a year and a half now, and God, I mean, like, yeah, I've learned so much. But it really started with feeling like I'm enough as I am. Yeah, so that's awesome. I like that. It resonates with me for sure, and I know a lot of other people. Okay, so if you could go to your older future self, sorry, if your older future self, I'm gonna get this right one day, could come back to you where you are right now, what do you hope that they would tell you? The blue light stuff was good. Yeah. Good job. Good choice.
Yeah, good job, I guess. You deserve a break, or you earned a break.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Or like, let's be real. Like, hey, just so you know, you did hit your midlife career change, and you did do art professionally. That's something I think about. Maybe I'll do. Maybe not.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Well, not all of us have this multifaceted talent pool that we can pull from like you do. So I'm really happy that you have the ability to make that choice at some point. And your art is awesome, by the way. And can I plug that right now?
Of course, yeah.
So where do people go if they want to find? And what do you do? Do you sell it? Like, just, I mean, I don't know. Just tell me kind of like what you do.
Yeah, so primarily, I'm just to get my stuff out there. I've got an Etsy. It's KJ Botanical Drawings. But yeah, I do a mix of colored pencil and watercolor. Botanical drawings, it kind of started right with like the Appalachian plants when I was back east, and now I've kind of branched off just to like North American, basically wherever I travel for field work, I try to do like a couple of field sketches, which then later turn into something else.
Okay.
I've also done commissions so I just did one for the Forest Service for an interpretive, like cross-dating dendrochronology for the
Okay.
national forest.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
and
Well, congrats on that. That's a cool
thank
commission.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt pretty cool to see it like actually put up. But
Yeah.
so just kind of a little bit of everything. My joke is I'm not really good at drawing straight lines, so thank God
Yeah.
I'm in nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
But
thing
yeah,
plants are, so multifaceted themselves and their morphologies and they're not so simple. Yeah. That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Cool. And I'll make sure that I get that link right and I'll put that in the description and stuff. So you share and all that. So, okay. That's cool. Going to the last page here, which is page 2. So not a big leap here. Oh, if your life was turned into a movie, who would you want to play you?
I've been told that I have a similar like general demeanor and face as Aubrey Plaza.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, I could see that. I can see that.
Apparently, my eye roll is pretty similar to hers.
And that's a trademark of hers. So that's like, yeah, that's a big thing there. Oh my god. Oh wow, that's really cool. That would be really an accurate, yeah. I like that. Yeah, I have no idea who I would. I'm glad that you have like a doppelganger in the celeb field. I don't. So I think that's why I like these questions. That's why I like these questions, because I don't know my own answers to all of these.
Right.
So I think this is like my projection on people. Like, please give me answers so that one day I could have some.
Honestly, I wish I've seen more movies than I have, so I don't know if I've got a good answer for you.
Okay, all right, that's all right. I'll figure it out one day. It'll be some old guy when I'm like 80 or something, hopefully. Okay. Do you have a favorite scientist?
I have a couple. Yeah, but I think primarily one that's really inspired me was Lucy Brown.
Okay.
Brown, she wrote Deciduous Forests of North America.
Okay.
Yeah, she was definitely a trailblazer for women in STEM, specifically in botany and ecology. Mm-hmm. So yeah, special place in heart.
No, that's cool, and that's a really good point too. Is I'm not a botanist. The only people that call me a botanist are people that know nothing about plants, because they're like, "Wow, you know a lot." Like, okay, sure.
You know what trees are. You must be a botanist.
Yeah, exactly. You can ID this based off a leaf. Yeah. But for people that are, that all of these like, plant names, so many of them are men that have named these plants, and that's the case that I know in any field in the world, in general. But I love being able to talk with female scientists who, are just trailblazers,
Yeah,
I think it'll be really cool, for you at some point that you're on this journey right now, with blue light, with tree rings. That's so cool, because there are some really amazing female scientists right now in dendro, but it's still relatively new to see those faces. And so
for sure. Yeah. I mean,
it's
our
awesome.
field's not very old too. So
yeah,
I don't know, the time we've been around to who is up and coming, I think we've got some pretty good representation. So that feels really good to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. We're pretty much out of time anyways, but I'll just ask you, do you have like a favorite science or life quote at all?
Yeah, so let's see, specifically. It is, I can never remember the man's name. So it's Ronald Heifetz. What people resist is not change per se, but loss. It was in a leadership book that I had to read for this outdoor leadership class I took in undergrad, and that
Okay.
really with me because I think it's super applicable to not just like, group dynamics and, outdoor leadership, but also like climate change mitigation. That is like a huge thing, is that we are more adaptable and stronger than we think we are. But we have these fears that we need to be like cognizant of, right? And sometimes the fear gets misguided. It can lead to failure to progress, right? Or to change or to adapt. And um,
Beautifully said. Yeah, I'm not gonna add any more to this conversation. Let's end it right there. No, that's awesome,
already.
Karen. If people want to reach out to connect with you, ask you questions or whatever, just follow you, and what's the best way for them to do that?
Either via email or Twitter. I've been on
Okay.
Twitter. That's pretty much the only social media I use. So
Yeah, you don't get much signal or Wi-Fi out in the mountains, anyways, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Personal choice.
That's probably a really good personal choice. I am glad that we have it though, or I wouldn't be able to have this chat right now. So that's really
For
cool.
sure.
Okay, well, cool. I'll reach out to you and make sure I link exactly what you do, and don't want me to post there on how they reach out to you. Yeah, this is awesome. I would love to chat with you more. I have like 2 more like samples that I set out because I was just like, oh, I've got so many things I'd love to like ask and chat about. So at some point, like it'd be great to have you on again if that's cool with you.
Yeah,
So
sounds good.
all right. Well, it was great to chat with you, Karen, and I look forward to seeing you again sometime.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, see ya. Bye.